Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room, and the endless Tchaikovsky flow continues. We're flooded with Tchaikovsky. I just hope Tchaikovsky is all I get flooded with down here. I'm praying. I'm hoping. I don't want to know any other kind of flood other than a Tchaikovsky flood. So let's continue. This is number 11 in our ongoing series of Tchaikovsky from the Overflow room. Oh my God. Okay, you ready? Here's the other complete suites for orchestra. This is the one with Antal Dorati and the new Philharmonia Orchestra that was originally on Mercury Living Presence. I always say it's with the LSO, but it isn't. It's with the new Philharmonia. And notice this title, though. It's interesting. See, it's complete suites for orchestra, including Mozartiana. You have to say that because nobody cares about any of the others, except for example, the theme and variations finale for number 3, but not even all of number 3. But they're fun. Oh, number 2 has a part for 4 accordions in it. I mean, Tchaikovsky was one of those composers who believed that it was always necessary, and Shostakovich was one too, to keep writing. Even when you don't feel inspired, even when you don't have a major project, you just keep writing to keep yourself fresh and sharp. And there's a lot of stuff that he wrote that he did just because he wanted to write music. I mean, and he wasn't all about agonizing over his homosexuality or being miserable or whatever. He just wanted to continue to, set down musical thoughts and see what he could do with them. And these pieces are like that for the most part, and they're lovely. So there's no reason not to like them. And you come into them with the right expectations. You know what I mean? Don't go into it thinking it's another Pathetique symphony. And besides, how many of those can we tolerate? One is enough, right? I'll never forget that appallingly stupid gramophone review, insanely silly, ridiculous gramophone review that said that, this was not a Pathetique, I forget whose it was, for average daily listening. Well, who wants an average Pathetique for average daily listening? I mean, you'd have to be insane if you're playing it every day. And if the performance you have is so emotionally cool that you could tolerate it every day, something is wrong. If you want to have average daily listening, listen to some of this stuff. It's great to listen to while you're vacuuming or whatever. Manfred, the Elegy and the Cossack Dance with the Indianapolis Symphony and Raymond Lepard or whatever he called himself. He changed every other week. It's a good performance. It's not like a thriller, but this was on Koss Classics, which had some beautiful things. It had a Dvorak cycle with Zdeněk Matzal. Remember that? That was really nice, and a few other things. Koss makes headphones, and they had some American, sort of provincial or second tier orchestras, and they made some very, very nice sounding recordings with them. Not always thrilling, but okay. And here is the Mazel Manfred with the Vienna Phil. And the Hamlet Fantasy. These are very fine performances. Again, it's a good Manfred. We're still waiting for the great Manfred. That was my, works that never work in real life. They just don't. Well, there are some very good performances, but we're still waiting for that unabashedly, insanely great performance where everything goes right. But this was up there in the Manfred sweepstakes back in the day. The Manfred and Romeo and Juliet with Toscanini. Toscanini reorchestrates the thing. A lot of it, and then he makes cuts, and then he adds tam-tam crashes. He does all kinds of things to it. It's all very tasteless. Shame on him, really. Oh, isn't this lovely? Beethoven 8 and Tchaik 5 on Orfeo with Rudolf Kempe with the Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra. This is from March 1975, which was very close to when Kempe passed away. Kempe was a really wonderful Tchaikovsky conductor most of the time. This is a beautiful performance. He was such a chord guy. His Beethoven, could have more contrapuntal clarity, I think, in places. It's not bad either, of course. But the Tchaikovsky is what you get that for. Really. So let's just stuff these over here. Whoop. There they go. Okay. There we go. Next. The Pathetique, again, with Muti and Philadelphia, pardon me. This is his remake, because he did it originally with the Philharmonia. That one was better than this one. I mean, this is quite good, as you might imagine, with Philly. It's a little softer edged, a little less rhythmically punchy. It's good. What's not to like? And it's got, oh, the reason I have this, pardon me, is the coupling, which you don't see here. The coupling is the deal. It's what sealed the deal. It's the Scriabin poem of ecstasy with Philly, which is hot. Hot, hot, hot. It's one of the great ones. It's part of that amazing Scriabin cycle, which is like one of the best things that Moody ever did. And unfortunately, it went out of print rather quickly. So I got this, I think, because it had the Scriabin attached to the Tchaikovsky, which I didn't really need. Then we've got the Pathetique and Romeo and Juliet with Schulte in Chicago. It's typical Schulte in Chicago. It's exciting. It's very well played. It's well recorded. And there's just like lots of other ones that are slightly better in, A to B comparisons. That's what happens with these things, I wish that I could like Schulte more than I do, because I just find him to be almost always very ordinary. Just average, subscription week, take no prisoners, punch and beat up and do things to people. That's okay. And here's track 4 with Schulte, with Romeo and Juliet. Well, this has Romeo and Juliet too. It's the same Romeo and Juliet? Do I care? Not especially. Track 4 is good. This is a very good track 4. This was one of Schulte's better recordings in Tchaikovsky, I think. It's very exciting. It's really powerful. It doesn't dawdle anywhere. But it's not, crude, and he doesn't sort of, vulgarize the music in any way. It's just a really exciting track 4. One of his best, really. That's why I hung on to it. Tchaikovsky 2 and 4, Abbado and Vienna. Okay, this was part of his earlier Tchaikovsky stuff as opposed to his later cycle in Chicago, and they're quite good. Number 4 is particularly good. It's a performance that has always been very, very highly regarded. It's exciting, it's sensitive, it's beautiful, but it's not pulled apart. Number 2 is good. It's a good number 2. It's not one of the great number 2s. That's Muti. Yeah. Track 4, Romeo and Juliet, David Zinman, with the Baltimore Symphony on Telarc. You got this one for the sonics, and because it's exciting. It's really exciting. Goodness, he gets through the finale in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. It's just very, very exciting, and very well recorded and extremely well played. And I lived in Baltimore when I was an undergrad at Johns Hopkins, and so I had great affection for the orchestra. This was before Zinman was there when I was there. And when I was there, Sergio Commissiona was the conductor. Nobody special. And they got a lot better, actually, after they built the new hall, Meyerhoff, which they did while I was there. The Meyerhoff Hall. When I started, they were at the Lyric Theater in Baltimore. Oh, and we have two Philly and Ormandy Tchaikovsky classics, numbers 4 and 6, with the Capriccio Italienne, the Eugene Onegin stuff, the 1812 Overture, with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the Valley Forge Military Academy Band, the March Slav, all of the usual noise and hysteria. This is classic Tchaikovsky. These are the performances we grew up with, and we love them dearly, and we still do. Ormandy and Tchaikovsky were a match made in heaven. So there's no question about how luscious and romantic and beautiful they are. Not the last word in powerful excitement, razor-sharp rhythmic acuity. No, but you'll never hear those tunes sung out with more lusciousness and abandon than you do with Ormandy. Not even Karajan. Not even. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.